Thank you, Mr. Hanson. I rise to move New Clause 37, tabled in my name and the name of many honourable members and friends. Before I turn specifically to the detail of NC 37, I'd like to summarise the powers and functions of regulatory institutions. In essence, these are monitoring and measuring compliance with legal requirements, reviewing and reporting on compliance with legal requirements, enforcement of legal requirements, setting standards or targets, coordinating action and publicising information. Thus, we see that regulatory institutions and agencies play an absolutely central role in the proper functioning of our economy and indeed of our broader society. They are, if you like, the traffic lights that keep the traffic flowing around our economy, and they are the shields that protect our fundamental rights and freedoms. I'd like to turn my attention to the impact that Brexit will have on the vital role that EU agencies currently play. We all know that the transition phase will, in essence, be a carbon copy of the status quo minus our representation in the EU institutions. But the problem is that when we leave the EU, we will become a third country. And the fact is that when we leave the EU on the 29th of March 2019, we will be leaving the 52 agencies that currently carry out the tasks and functions that I listed earlier. According to research commissioned by the House of Commons Library, of the 52 agencies, 16 have no provision whatsoever for third country participation, and a further 12 only allow for observer or a vague cooperation status. Mr. Hanson, this means that 28 out of the 52 agencies, EU agencies, have no provision whatsoever for third country participation. We are therefore facing, on the time of leaving, a yawning and very dangerous governance gap. And this brings me to the terms of my New Clause 37. The purpose of New Clause 37 is to force the government to commit to institutional parity, meaning that all powers and functions currently relating to any freedom, right or protection that were exercised by EU agencies should either continue to be carried out by an EU agency, be carried out by an appropriate existing or newly established entity, or be carried out by an appropriate international entity. Mr. Hanson, without UK institutions to take on the job of EU agencies, we will see fundamental rights, protections and regulations being removed by the back door, having been rendered unenforceable. The fact is that the EU Withdrawal Bill will not then be worth the paper it's written on unless it is backed up by regulatory agencies. And the risks are daunting. How will we reassure businesses that wish to invest in our country if we cannot guarantee a predictable and consistent regulatory regime? How will we reassure consumers that our food hygiene standards are up to international standards? How will we reassure people our nuclear safety, chemicals or medicines are up to international and European standards? We can only do this if we have strong regulatory agencies to implement the terms of our legislation. I therefore commend my New Clause 37 to the House. Thank you.
Chris Stevens.